Kelly. Welcome to CNN Student News, and we will be talking about World War I and how it affected Russia.
Today we are going to take a visit to Russia.
On to Trinity with the Russian industrialization.
Hello, my name is Trinity Bonito, and today I will be speaking on the topic of Russian industrialization. Nicholas I wanted to push his country forward by raising taxes, and he also sought foreign investors. Nicholas's most capable minister launched a program to move the country forward. Russia's industrial revolution was later than most because the agricultural techniques used in the mid-19th century had not changed since the medieval period.
Now on to Adriana.
Hello, this is Adriana, and today I'm going to talk to you about crisis in Russia and abroad and the March Revolution. Between 1904 and 1917, Russia faced a series of crises. These events showed the Tsar's weakness and paved the way for revolution. In the late 1800s, Russia and Japan competed for control of Korea and Manchuria. The two nations signed a series of agreements over the territories, but Russia broke them. Japan retaliated by attacking the Russians at Port Arthur, Manchuria, in February 1904. News of repeated Russian losses sparked unrest at home and led to revolt in the midst of the war. On January 22, 1905, about 200,000 workers and their families approached the Tsar's Winter Palace in St. Petersburg. They carried a petition asking for better working conditions, more personal freedom, and an elected national legislator. Nicholas II, generals ordered soldiers to fire on the crowd. More than 1,000 were wounded and several hundred were killed. Russians quickly named the event Bloody Sunday. Bloody Sunday provoked a wave of strikes and violence that spread across the country. In October 1905, Nicholas reluctantly promised more freedom. He approved the creation of the Duma, Russia's first parliament. The first Duma met in May 1906. Its leaders were moderates who wanted Russia to become a constitutional monarchy, similar to Britain, but because he was hesitant to share his power, the Tsar dissolved the Duma after 10 weeks. In 1914, Nicholas II made the fateful decision to drag Russia into World War I. Russia was unprepared to handle the military and economic costs. Its weak generals and poorly equipped troops were no match for the German army. German machine guns mowed down advancing Russians by the thousands. Defeat followed defeat. Before a year passed, more than 4 million Russian soldiers had been killed, wounded, or taken prisoner. As in the Russian-Japanese War, Russia's involvement in World War I revealed the weakness of the Tsarist rule and military leadership. In 1915, Nicholas moved his headquarters to the war front. From there, he hoped to rally his discouraged troops to victory. His wife, Tsarina Alexandra, ran the government while he was away. She ignored the Tsar's chief advisors. Instead, she fell under the influence of the mysterious Rasputin. A self-described holy man, he claimed to have magical healing powers. Nicholas and Alexandra's son, Alexis, suffered from hemophilia, a life-threatening disease. Rasputin seemed to ease the boy's symptom. To show her gratitude, Alexandra allowed Rasputin to make key political decisions. He opposed reform measures and obtained powerful positions for his friends. In 1916, a group of nobles murdered Rasputin. They feared his increasing role in government affairs. Meanwhile, on the war front, Russian soldiers mutinized, deserted, or ignored orders. On the home front, food and fuel supplies were dwindling. Prices were wildly inflated. People from all classes were clamoring for change and an end to the war. Neither Nicholas nor Alexandra proved capable of tackling these enormous problems. In March 1917, women textile workers in Petrograd led a citywide strike. In the next 5 days, riots flared up over shortages of bread and fuel. Nearly 200,000 workers swarmed the streets shouting, "Down with the autocracy and down with the war." At the first, the soldiers obeyed orders to shoot the rioters, but later sided with them. The local protests exploded into a general uprising, the March Revolution. It forced Tsar Nicholas II to abdicate his throne. A year later, revolutionaries executed Nicholas and his family. The 3-century Tsarist rule of the Romanovs finally collapsed. The March Revolution succeeded in bringing down the Tsar, yet it failed to set up a strong government to replace his regime. Later, leaders of the Duma established a provisional government, or temporary government. Alexander Kerensky headed it. His decision to continue fighting in World War I cost him the support of both soldiers and civilians. As the war dragged on, conditions inside Russia worsened. Angry peasants demanded land. City workers grew more radical. Socialists, revolutionaries competing for power formed Soviets. Soviets were local councils consisting of workers, peasants, and soldiers. In many cities, the Soviets had more influence than the provisional government. The Germans believed that Lenin and his Bolshevik supporters would stir up unrest in Russia and hurt the Russian war effort against Germany. They arranged Lenin's return to Russia after many years of exile. Traveling in a sealed railway boxcar, Lenin reached Petrograd in April 1917.
Now, on to Alana with Bolshevik news.
Hello, I'm Alana. Lately things have been bad in the factory of Petrograd. Workers stormed into the factory calling the Red Army. Days after the Red Army ordered that farmland is distributed among peasants, peasants then rise up and call themselves White Army. From 1918 to 1920, civil war raged in Russia. The war is causing death about 14 million people, and more is being killed.
The Bolshevik Revolution in 1917 is linked to World War I, and the Bolshevik Revolution probably never would have happened without the stress and strain that World War I imposed on a rural, agrarian, economically backward Russian Empire. I mean, the Russian Empire was faced with multiple domestic difficulties during the war that, increased public dissatisfaction with the autocracy. And of course the autocracy, right, is the absolute monarchy of Tsar Nicholas II. The Russian Empire couldn't pay for the immense cost of World War I except through printing more and more unbacked paper currency, which caused intense inflation. And of course, this inflation increased the misery of the urban working class. And most of the urban industrial workers were women. So female workers in particular were increasingly angry at the Tsar's failure to address these critical shortages and the inflation that was eroding the purchasing power of their limited wages. Plus, Nicholas II made himself the poster boy for Russia's military failure on the Eastern Front. Nicholas II personally made himself commander-in-chief a couple of years into the war against the advice of his ministers. Nicholas II knew nothing about the military sciences, but he thought that his personal presence at the front would mobilize the men to fight harder. But making himself commander-in-chief, of course, made him personally responsible for all the defeats that Russia suffered at the hands of the Germans on the Eastern Front. So that also ate into the Tsar's popularity and legitimacy. With the Bolsheviks, I mean, you have to stress that this is a radical communist party, right? That wants to destroy the existing autocratic order and build a new communist state and economy in the Russian Empire.
Now, on to Lily with news on Joseph Stalin and how Lenin restores order.
Hey guys, this is Lily. We're back on the topic of World War I in Russia. So there was this man named Lenin, and he suffered a stroke in 1922, which opened up competition for the Communist Party. And there were two men. There was Lenin Trotsky and Joseph Stalin. And Joseph was really cold and hard and very impersonal. And eventually he just changed his name to just Stalin, which in Russia means the man of steel. Like, who does this guy think he is, Superman or something? But he began his ruthless climb to government between 1922 and 1927. In 1922, as General Secretary, he worked behind the scenes to move his supporters to power. And Lenin believed that Stalin was dangerous, and he was right. And Lenin, before he died, he wrote to be careful if he gets too powerful. And sadly, he died, and shortly after that, Stalin rose to power, and he was in total command of the Communist Party.
Okay, time for student roll calls. Shout out to Nutley High School, where my cousin goes. Shout out to St. Barnabas Church of England Primary School in Oxford. And shout out to Kearney High School. Go Cards!
Thank you so much for watching us, and I'll see you next time. Hey guys, this is Lily. Welcome to CNN Student News, and we'll be
Hi, this is I can't do it. Hi, this is Talia coming to you live from CNN Student News.
Hey, thank you, Talia. I'm Lily, and we're back on the topic of World War I in Russia. And war and revolution destroyed the Russian economy. Trade was at a standstill. Industrial production dropped, and many skilled workers.
Hello, this is Adriana, and today I'm going to talk to you about crisis in Russia.
Hey guys, this is Lily. So we're back on the topic of World War I in Russia. So there is this guy named Lenin, and he suffered a stroke in 1922, which opened up competition for heading